The art of concrete is made possible by Lafarge. Lafarge, building better cities.
When an architect designs their own home, it's an opportunity to try things that clients may not be brave enough to consider. For Leah Altini, it was a chance to create a bold statement in modernist design and the principles of minimalism.
The main concept of minimalism is capturing light. That's very important to me as an architect. And I think the light, the quality of light where we live is astounding. It's so bright and it's very easy to manipulate. So you could choose surfaces. We've chosen surfaces, some that are highly polished to reflect the light. The concrete is a very matte surface, so it tends to absorb the light. So all the highly polished surfaces we've used in the foreground then are offset by this very matte, dark, cool looking surface of the concrete. What has evolved out of the concept of this home is a sort of an African minimalism, you could say. We've used local materials, we've used local timbers, the concrete is obviously locally sourced, and we've tried to create a home which has the essence of openness and obviously planes that move, all the sliding doors and the skylights open as well. So you have this sort of movement. A pavilion always has movement.
The concept of a pavilion or garden room takes the idea of indoor-outdoor living to the extreme, with the entire north-facing facade of the home opening out to the garden and taking full advantage of available light.
We wanted to have a pronounced facade which was both striking and very simple against the concrete, because the concrete, all 9 meters of a concrete wall which sits behind the box, are very visible when you look at the north facade, and they sort of offset the purity of the box that we've created, which is very engineered. It has an aluminium box surrounding the windows, and we've tried to also cocoon the bedrooms as well. So the bedrooms are almost elevated in a sort of, I would say, a nest, basically, a hanging nest.
To counter this, a precast wall of self-compacting concrete forms the south facade of the home and grounds the structure. The natural color and texture of the concrete also helps to counter the clean, smooth textures of the interior finishes.
Well, we've used a very limited palette of materials. I would say we've used 3 basic elements. We've used the white, which is a glossy white. We've used timber and we've used concrete. The concrete always remains a separate element in the background, yet it's integrated in various layers. So we've tried to mimic also some of the concrete and some of the furnishings as well. And it allows us to use these glossy surfaces quite liberally, because it tends to absorb all the lights.
In the bathrooms on the first floor, the concrete again becomes a natural, imperfect element to contrast the polished glass and porcelain surfaces.
The bathrooms are very similar to the living area, where we've used very shiny and glossy surfaces. And I think having the concrete in the background as well, in the bathrooms, allows us to play with a very clean and minimal palette material-wise. So you'll have a very subtly raised tile which picks up on the changes of light within the bathrooms. The bathrooms do have high-level windows and skylights, so you get quite a bit of shadow play on the surfaces. And then what we've done is also the light bouncing off of the glossy surfaces is absorbed in the bathrooms as well, so it doesn't feel like you're in this echoing chamber. It really does soften the space.
To break the stark concrete wall on the exterior, Leah has punctured the expanse with horizontal windows, which allow glimpses into the house from outside and also allow glimpses from the inside out to the man-made forest.
The south side is also the boundary between the neighbour and our residence. So instead of having a keep out sort of message through the use of a high boundary wall, We've used the facade of the house and we've softened it with a landscaping, an intermediate section between their property and our property, so that everybody can benefit from little greenery. And the concrete really works very well as a background to the little forest that we've created on the south side of the house.
This home is a great example of the use of sleek, modern lines and clean finishes to create a fresh, sophisticated space, which is as comfortable to live in as it is pleasing on the eye.
The art of concrete was made possible by Lafarge. Lafarge, building better cities.